Today, I'm sharing the 9 growth mindset habits that completely transformed my life. From a broke circus performer with impostor syndrome to someone who actually can enjoy the journey. And the most powerful one, it's probably the opposite of what every motivational speaker has ever told you. I'm 33 years old now, and looking back at my 20-year-old self, man, there are some things I wish I knew earlier, huh? Not in a regretful way, but more like, wow, this would have saved me so much pain, literal pain, time, and honestly, some pretty embarrassing failures as well. So let's jump straight into it. Habit number 1, patient is not passive, it's strategic. Here's what patient actually means. Setting your goals 1 to 5 years out instead of 1 to 5 months. Sounds simple, but watch what happens to your brain when you do this. Suddenly, missing one day doesn't feel like failure. Having a slow month doesn't mean you're behind. You stop pushing when your body or life is telling you to rest, and it's important. You make better decisions because you're not desperate. In the circus, we have a saying, the basics are boring until they save your life. But when I was younger, I didn't want to do hollow body holds for months. I didn't want to practice simple tucks 1,000 times. I wanted glory. I wanted glory now. Think about it. When you give yourself 5 years to build something incredible versus 5 months, which version of you do you think is gonna show up? The desperate one who cuts corner, or the strategic one who builds foundations? Small implementation. Here's a small implementation for you. Whatever goal you're chasing right now, multiply your timeline by 10. Watch how your entire strategy on how you achieve things changes. And there is a cost to impatience. So actually, let me tell you what happens when you don't have patience at all. When I was around 20 years old, I thought I was ready for a double backflip with no support. My friend, who's a professional athlete, literally told me, hey, I don't think you're ready for it. You should do it with a harness. But you know what? I knew better. I knew myself. And I landed directly on my neck. For 2 weeks, I moved like a robot, could barely brush my teeth, and every inch of my upper body screamed bloody murder in pain. That injury cost me 2 weeks, but the mindset that caused it, that cost me 13 years. See, I spent 16 years in circus, and I was good, but never great. Why? Because I was always rushing to the next trick instead of mastering the current one. The athletes who made it to the Olympics, they spent years on basic skills I tried to skip in weeks. And this pattern didn't just affect my circus career, it affected everything else. My freelancing, my relationships, my entire approach to life was quick. I was the guy trying to skip to level 100 while still having a level 1 fundamental. But here's what's crazy. Once I understood these 9 habits I'm about to share with you, everything changed. And the most powerful one might surprise you. Habit number 2, I'm not special. And why that's your superpower. This is the one that's going to upset most people, but stay here with me, okay? For years, I walked into rooms with Olympic athletes and Cirque du Soleil performers, thinking, I don't belong here, I don't deserve to be here, I'm not special like them. And then one day, I had a realization that changed everything. I'm not special. Nobody owes me anything, and that's the best news I've ever received. And here's why. When you think you're special, right? You expect things to be given to you, to be handed to you. You expect recognition, you expect shortcuts, you expect the whole universe to notice your struggle and reward you for your pain. But when you accept you are not special, you become dangerous, because now you know that everything you want, you have to earn it, you have to fight for it. No exceptions, no shortcuts, no waiting for permission. The Olympic athletes in my training sessions, they weren't special, They just did the boring work multiple times every single day. In the meantime, I was looking for hacks. This isn't about low self-esteem, it's about radical responsibility. When nobody owes you anything, every opportunity becomes a gift and not an expectation. Every small win becomes fuel, not finally, I got what I deserve. Now, this next habit completely flipped what I thought mattered for success. For 16 years, I had it completely backwards. And it's probably why you're working twice as hard as you need to for half of the results that you want. So habit number 3 is your network is your net worth, but not exactly how you think. I used to think that if I could just do a perfect triple backflip, opportunities would find me. If I could just be skilled enough, success was guaranteed. And here's the uncomfortable truth. My circus skills were maybe 20% of my success. It hurts, but the other 80% was communication, developing relationships, and simply asking for help. I watch incredibly talented people stay broke because they couldn't talk to other people. In the meantime, moderate skilled performers who knew exactly how to connect or ask for help were touring the whole world. But here's what networking really means, okay? It's not about using people, it's about this. Every single person you meet knows something you don't. Every person has fought their battles that you can't see. When you approach people with genuine curiosity instead of, what can you do for me? Everything changes. One conversation with a circus director who liked my energy, for example, got me more opportunities than 3 years of perfecting my techniques alone in the gym. So the mindset shift here is stop trying to impress people with your skills, okay? Start connecting with them about their struggles and your own struggles. Skills can be taught to anyone. Connection is rare, it's hard to build. And speaking of connection here, if we are connecting right now, hit that subscribe button and I promise you I won't try to impress you with some silly triple backflips through your screen, although I can share some of my fails here every now and again. But I'm gonna share practical stuff like this video, and if you're liking it, please hit the like button as well. But let's go back to it. Habit number 4, small wins compound into big victories. When I decided to get consistent with the gym, you know what my goal was? And this was gonna sound ridiculous. My goal was to walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes and leave. That's it. I didn't even believe it would work. I thought I was wasting money in the gym membership just to go there and walk on a treadmill for 10 minutes and go home. It felt ridiculous, but here's what happened. After 2 weeks of just showing up, right? I was just going to the gym to walk. I felt ridiculous leaving after 10 minutes, so I stayed for 20, then 30, then I added some weight. 6 months later, I had the most consistent gym routine of my life. Not because I forced myself to go to it, but because I made it so easy to win that losing became a lot harder than succeeding. And this works for everything. Want to start a YouTube channel? Record one video on your phone. Don't post it, just record. Want to start freelancing? Send one email, not 10. Want to meditate? Sit for 60 seconds. That's it. Your brain doesn't resist to small wins. It resists massive big changes. So make the wins so small that your brain doesn't even notice you are changing until it's too late to go back. Actually, I have a whole video here about how small wins changed my entire life. It's linked here in the card, so you can click and you can see it after this video if you want to go deeper in this concept. But here's where most people get stuck. They confuse wanting with deciding. I wanted things for years without getting them, okay? Then I learned the difference and everything changed, okay? So habit 5 is decide, don't want. I wanted to be a successful freelancer. For 2 years, that's all I talked about. I talked about it at parties, dreamt about it, made a vision board about it. Nothing happened. Then one day I made a decision that I wanted to become a freelancer. The difference is that when you want something, you're waiting for the right time. And when you decide, You make it the right time. You prioritize. One thing says, I hope this happens. Deciding says, I'm going to figure out how to make this happen. Period. End of story. When I decided to freelance, it wasn't about burning bridges or going all in with no safety net. I actually kept my waiter job for a very long time, but the decision meant I stopped treating freelancing like a maybe someday and started treating it like something that was definitely going to happen. Just that I put a realistic timeline to it. Every problem became a little puzzle to solve instead of a reason to quit. If a client said no, I would try to figure out why. If I didn't know how to price something, I would learn. The decision wasn't about rushing or forcing it. It was about knowing this was my direction and being patient enough to build it properly. And here's how you know you've decided. You stop talking about it, and you start doing the boring stuff. And you can make that fun too. You stop seeking for approval and start seeking for information. You stop wanting permission to start and you start taking imperfect action. There's a test. If you've been wanting something for more than 3 months, you haven't really decided it. And if you're still waiting for someone to give you permission, here's your permission. I give you permission. Nobody's coming to save you, okay? Decide or let it go. And honestly, letting it go can be just as powerful, okay? It doesn't mean you failed or that you are giving up forever. It means that you're being honest with yourself about what you're actually willing to work on right now. You can always come back and revisit it later, but stop carrying the weight of things you know you're not gonna actually be pursuing for that time. That mental clarity is freeing. Habit number 6. Do the boring fundamentals first. Every injured athlete has a story about the fundamental, okay? The fundamental they skipped or they kept doing. Every failed business has a foundation they ignore. Every broken relationship has a conversation that was too basic to have. In circus, the fundamental is conditioning. Hours of hollow holds, push-ups, handstand drills, flexibility work, boring stuff, but every single injury I had, including that neck injury, came from skipping this. In freelancing, the fundamentals are less sexy. Learning how to write a proper email, understanding basic contracts, knowing how to price the work, actually delivering on time, learning how to properly prompt AI tools. I wanted to just jump straight to making 10Ks on each project, but I couldn't even write a good proposal that even made sense. The truth is that the fundamentals aren't just important, they're 90% of your success, or of anyone's success. The fancy stuff that everyone sees, that's easy 10% that comes naturally when your foundation is solid. Habit number 7, everything is data, not really failure. That neck injury, I wasn't ready for a double backflip on the floor. You lose money on a bad project, I needed better contract. Relationships ended, I was repeating old patterns. When you see everything as data instead of failure, you stop hiding from feedback and you start seeking for it. Because data doesn't hurt your ego. It helps you improve. But listen here, okay? I'm not saying to become a robot about it. Input, receive, adjusting parameters. No, you're a still human being. You still feel things. Data just means information you can use to learn where you've been repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again and getting the same results. It's about noticing patterns, not removing emotion. But here's the key. You have to actually use the data. Most people collect feedback like trophies of their suffering. Look how much I failed, but they never change their approach. Data without action is just pain without purpose. Now, this next habit is going to be a little bit contradicting every productivity video you've ever watched, maybe some of mine, but it's the reason I'm not burned out after 13 years of constant improvement, okay? Habit number 8, growth without toxicity. The internet tells you to optimize everything, track every minute, measure every metric, growth above all else. Here's what they don't tell you. That's exactly how you burn out, destroy relationships, and wake up 35 years old, successful, but dead inside. Not every part of your life needs to be optimized, okay? Some things are meant to be enjoyed, not improved, okay? When you're obsessed with growth above everything else, you're usually hiding from something. Those 80 hours work week, they're not often about productivity. They're about avoiding the conversation with your partner, the therapy you need, or the fact that you don't actually like what you're building. Sustainable growth looks like working intensely, then resting completely, growing in one area while maintaining others, saying no to opportunities that don't align, being okay with seasons of slowness. The goal isn't to grow as fast as possible, it's to grow in a way that you can sustain for decades without losing yourself. And habit number 9, ask for help without the shame of asking for help. This one took me the longest, probably because of my childhood. Because when you grow up in chaos, you learn that needing help makes you vulnerable. And being vulnerable means unsafe. But here's what actually happens when you ask for that help. People feel valued that you trust them. You learn 10 times faster than figuring out alone. You build real connections, not surface ones. You save years of unnecessary struggle. And the key is how you ask. Be specific about what you need. Respect the people's time and expertise. Offer value in return, even if it's just gratitude. And actually implement their advice. I spent years struggling alone with circus skills that a coach fixed in one session with 30 minutes. Years building a business in the wrong way because I was too proud to ask someone who has done the same for help. Your ego wants you to figure it out alone. Your success requires you to ask for help whenever you can. And here's the invisible cage. There's an invisible cage that might be holding you back right now. And it's called learned helplessness. When you grow up in chaos, whether there's family dysfunction, educational struggles, or just life hitting you hard really early, your brain learns that your actions don't matter and that trying doesn't really change outcomes. And it shows that you're stuck. I didn't even know I had this until my late 20s. I thought everyone felt like success was for other people. I didn't feel like success was for me. I thought the success was for other people. Like no matter what I did, I'd end up in the same cycles. But here's the thing about learned helplessness. It is learned, which means it literally can be unlearned. These 9 habits are not just productivity tips. They are pattern breakers. Every small win proves your brain wrong. Every patient goal achieved rewrites your story. Every time you ask for help and receive it, you're proving that you are not alone. And there's a compounding effect here. What nobody tells you about growth mindset is that it compounds in ways you cannot predict. When you develop patience, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, you build better relationships. When you build better relationships, opportunities will find you. When opportunities find you, you can be a little bit more selective. When you're selective, you only take aligned projects. When you only take aligned projects, you excel. And when you excel, confidence becomes natural. And when confidence is natural, impostor syndrome fades. And it's not linear, it's exponential, but it takes time. And what's your next move here? Here's what I want you to do right now. And I mean literally right now. Pick one habit from this list, just one. The one that made you uncomfortable because you know it's exactly what you've been avoiding. Then make it stupidly small. If it's patience, extend one goal by 3 months. If it's I'm not special, write down one thing you earned instead of expecting it. If it's networking, send one genuine message to someone you admire. If it's small wins, pick something that takes 5 minutes. If it's deciding, write, I decide to, and finish that sentence for yourself. If it's fundamentals, identify one basic skill that you've been skipping, and if it's data, you know where I'm going with this. Write down what your failure was last, then what it taught you, so you can grow along. Now, don't wait for Monday, don't wait for the perfect moment, because those voices are your old patterns talking to you. Now, you're not responsible for the patterns that were created in your childhood. The trauma, dysfunction, the learned helplessness, none of that was your choice. But you are responsible now for whether you keep them or not. And that's not really harsh, that's freedom. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take back power, you stop being a victim of your past and become the author of your future. I still struggle with these habits a lot. Last week I caught myself rushing through a project. Yesterday I wanted something instead of deciding on it. This morning I almost didn't ask for help. And here's the thing, you need to be gentle with yourself on this path of self-discovery. Because breaking through the chains of your past is kind of hard. It's not an easy or a fast path. It can really be disturbing to go through it and to see your patterns clearly for the first time. So be patient with yourself, be vulnerable, be willing to take things slow, like everything else I've talked about here. If you try to rush through it, you are not going to get to the other side of it. You just create new patterns of self-judgment on top of the old ones, and after that it's not a very good sign. The difference is now I catch myself, I correct, I continue. That's all growth really is, catching yourself in the old pattern and choosing the new one. Not perfectly, not every time, but more often than before. And if this opens something up for you, please subscribe. Not for me, but as a commitment to yourself that you are ready to change these patterns. Take one small step today, then another tomorrow, and let's see who you become when you give yourself 5 years instead of 5 months. And thank you so much for watching. Much love, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.